Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Locker Room. We are back for the month of May with the Locker Room, and I'm excited that we have another great conversation for you tonight and some wonderful panelists we have that are going to be in our discussion tonight. And so I am excited. So listen, to everyone who has joined us, go right ahead, hit that like, hit that share button, and share this broadcast so that others on your page can jump on and be a part of this conversation with you, as I believe this is going to be a powerful, enlightening conversation. Because on the Locker Room, one of the things, and really the primary thing that we endeavor to do, is to inform, to enlighten, and empower. And so every time the Locker Room comes on, that's our main objective, is we want to inform people and give them information they need. We want to enlighten people, and ultimately at the end of our time together, that people will be empowered. So listen, go ahead again, hit that like, hit that share button so that others can jump on and be on the Locker Room with you tonight. We have an exciting podcast for you. And so I'm getting ready to bring on my guest panelists. And so the first panelist I do want to bring on, she is a young lady all the way out there in Rochester, New York. And she has been on the Locker Room before. I think this is her second or third time being on the Locker Room with us. And the first time, couple times she was on, people love the fact that she was on. So her energy, she's so energetic, and she's a content creator. She's a blogger. She has her own movement called FitFinePeace, and it has everything to do with health, everything to do with enlightenment, encouragement, inspiration, the whole nine, and is some of the funniest content you ever wanted to see. I just want to tell you. So I'm excited to have her on. She is a social worker. So also great to have her out in the social work field, helping people, really helping people, and doing what she is doing. And so I'm glad that she is back on the Locker Room with us tonight. And so I want to bring to the stage Miss Rakeal McKnight. How you doing?
Hi, happy Monday. Thank you for that. That was awesome. I didn't even know I did all that. That's a
Yes,
lot.
yes, you got
Yeah,
a lot going on.
I do. I'm like, you know what? I do.
You got a
I
lot
do all
going on.
that.
Yes, sir. So glad you're here with us. And then, so I want to bring my other guest panelists on. And this young man I've had the pleasure of knowing the last couple of years. And I could tell you, he is a wonderful young man that I respect greatly. Um, Such integrity, such character. And I just appreciate being connected to him. And he is a fitness trainer who has his own company. It's called JBC Fitness out here in Western New York. And so he is training people, helping them get their bodies together, especially now because summer is coming and people talking about getting them summer bodies ready. And so he is working with the men and the women out here, trying to get them together so they can be who they need to be. And so I appreciate his connection and everything he is doing and is committed to doing for people. And so I want to bring to the stage my brother Juwan Baker. What's
What's
up,
going
sir?
on? What's going on? That was great, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So once again, before we get into the conversation, go ahead and hit that like, hit that share button, and so that other people can jump on and be a part of this conversation with you tonight. This is going to be a very powerful, strong conversation, and we hope that everything that you receive tonight, that you will receive some tips and some different things that you can do to help you in the area of our health. So I do want to make this disclaimer before we get started. Everything that we talk about tonight, we are not doctors. We are not licensed professionals in the health industry. What we are is we're sharing with you tips and different things that we have done in the area of training people for fitness and in the area of healthy eating and all those other things that contribute to a healthy life. So we're sharing from our experience. We'll be sharing from what we know, what we have done. We cannot guarantee any results, that anything will happen for you if you take some of these tips and some of these information, because we can't guarantee people, so we can't guarantee results. So we want to make that clear before we start talking tonight and sharing. So our topic tonight, we're going to jump right on in. Our topic tonight is, I called it Fit for Destiny. Fit for Destiny, living life to the maximum. One of the things that is important, that I believe is important, and is that in order to do anything major or massive in life, if you're going to make any type of results, if you're going to live any type of destiny, purpose driven life, is that we're going to need to be in the healthiest condition we can to do it. It's going to be hard. It's hard to run a marathon if you breathe in after 5 steps.
I mean,
it's gonna be a little difficult. Gonna be a little difficult. And so to live a destiny-filled life, whether it's the life that you dreamed of living, or even if it's the life that God has called you to, being healthy, not just in your body, but being healthy in your mind, in your emotions, all of that is going to be critically important. Because if any one of those things are out of alignment, it's just going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult. And so that's what we want to talk about tonight, is that it's all about destiny. And the only way to live life is you got to live it to the max.
Right.
Because we only get one. You only get one life. On this side, you only get one life. And you only have this one opportunity to live it out in the way that it was designed for us to live. And so I want to start with this first question. I want to ask my panelists. I want to ask, when you saw the words "fit for destiny" and living life to the maximum, what did you think of? What came to mind when you first saw those words? And so I'm gonna start with Rakeal, and then we're going to Juwan.
So when I first hear, fit for destiny, I guess what it, brings to mind is, anything that you are trying to accomplish, you want to be your best self. You want to be in the best shape that you can be, like you said, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And that is a journey every single day. Like, that's putting in work every single day. It's putting in work in what you eat. It's putting in work in what you listen to. It's putting in work in what you read. It's putting in work in what you engage in. So, if you have a certain destiny or a certain goal, you have to work towards that every single day, and it have to be very intentional about the things that you do. And all of that's all the way down to having discipline to what you put in your mouth. So,
right.
That's what that makes me think of.
That's good. That's good, Juwan.
To add to that, I mean, she pretty much covered it, but when I heard it, it's almost like you got to take certain steps to get there. Anything that you have that's attached to destiny, there has to be a plan behind it. And a lot of people feel like that plan may have to be perfect, but it really just has to be a way of every day, what can I do to reach my destiny? What can I physically do with the things I'm eating, the things what she said, what I'm listening to, what I'm feeding myself with? Because more than just working out is what you're feeding, what you're consuming, both naturally and spiritually. If you're listening to a whole bunch of negative stuff, it's going to affect you as you're working out. And people don't realize how much the mental aspect of getting fit is such a crucial part, because a lot of our eating habits is based on trauma, it's based on stress, many things like that. So in order to get fit, you have to realize what is causing you not to be fit.
Yeah, take that head on first.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
That's good. That's good. And so with that, with everything that you said, so I want to now find out from you all, how did you get into the whole idea of being about your health, in the way that you are, because again, Juwan, you're training people, and you have a presence out there, and then Raquel, you have a social presence when it relates to it. So how did you get started, or what was the thing that kind of got you to a place where you said, okay, I'm not only going to just be serious about it for myself, but I also want to put it to people as well.
Yeah.
So this time I'm gonna reverse. I'm gonna start with Juwan. How did you get into fitness? How did you even think about being a trainer? And then Rakeal, what started you on your FitFinePeace?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to take it back to my high school days. I've always been pretty fit. My dad, he trained me for the war or whatever he trained me for because I was in a strict regimen. Like he didn't pull any punches, things. Even my punishment, instead of getting whooped, I was training. So that's always been a foundation for me. Coming up through high school, I had aspirations on playing in college. So at the time, my pops, he got me a trainer, and this dude was like Master Miyagi. So like he took me through a lot of different things I would have never done. Like I had boxing training, I had, just regular conditioning, but a lot of stuff that was, working on areas of my life that I never even thought of, and I took all that in, and rest his soul now. He has passed away, but it was around the time of COVID time. So my other job before that was I'm a chef at this restaurant called Jean Carlos. So obviously during COVID, that completely shut down. It was, a lot of stuff going on. And even during COVID was a more prevalent time for somebody to exercise because all we're doing is sitting at home. So we needed something. So, but during that time of not working, I was like, okay, I got to figure out what I got to do because, I'm not working at the moment. And I began to like dig back into some of my old passions, and I remember my old trainer and, things that he imparted to me. And I was like, I've always had a passion for fitness. That's always been a part of my life, so maybe I can use that in order to build something on, because the big thing for me is I wanted to be able to work for myself, and when I began to think about it, even to my first clients that actually that they were kind of like the test dummies, I began to like really have a passion for it, that this is what I want to do. When I wake up, I want to help people reach their goals. Just how, in positions of where I was coming up, my dad didn't even know, my trainer didn't even know. They were instilling these things in me at that young age to where these are things I want to pass to when I do have my own kids, like that discipline, like we were talking about. Not so much the motivation, because motivation is fleeting. But if I'm being disciplined, I'm not negotiating with myself. No matter what, I feel like I'm showing up for my workout. Even if I got to get a little mini workout in for the day, at least I did and hit my goal. Because that's all, we all focus on the staircase so much, and we forget the steps that you got to take to get there. So that was a big thing for me. Just seeing how it impacted my life, and wanting to give that to others and show them, regardless of the state that you're in, you can reach your goals. You just have to take it a step at a time. No comparison. Your main competition is you. You got to beat the laziness in you. You got to beat the procrastination in you. You got to beat the excuse you. And they all show up. I heard this quote before, and then I'm gonna shut up. That long before your body can actually quit, your mind will tell you that I can't do it. Long before you physically can't move. And it was a distance runner that said it, and that makes sense, because I used to think when I was running, I'm tired, I'm done, I don't want to do no more. But then, depending on who was training me at the time, whether my dad or my trainer, they brought a different spark out of me, and I was able to do way more than I thought. And it's just because of my mind. I was able to overcome it in my mind, and that's kind of what my training is centered on. My JBC is Journey to Building Consistency. So my goal is, you may think, there's no way I'm going to lose this weight. It's no way I'm going to. So I don't really focus on that stuff. What I'm focusing on, let's just be consistent. Let's just show up every day, figure out what's going on, figure out what we need to do. And I take it a step at a time. We got to evaluate what condition your body's in, and then what areas we need to work on. So that's what kind of got me into it.
Nice.
All right, good. That's awesome, man. I like that journey to building consistency. I like that.
Yeah, because consistency gets you there every time.
It sure will.
Yeah.
It sure, whether you feel like it or not.
That's
Yeah, that's the fact.
Go ahead, Rakeal. It's on you.
So kind of similar. Like fitness has always been part of my journey. So I don't think it was something that I just was like, oh, I'm just gonna focus on. Like I was always the girl that went to the gym. I was always the girl, even before I had kids. I was the girl that got up at 5 a.m. and got on the treadmill, then went to work. Like I was the boot camp girl. I used to go all type of boot camps. I tried all type of Weight Watchers and stuff, which is crazy now when I think about it. I was doing that and I was like 130 pounds. Like I don't know, like you know what I mean. Like now I look back like what, I don't know, but I just didn't have social media. We kind of had social media then. I'm a little older. You know what I mean. I'm about to be 40, but what around the time when I was doing it, for social media wasn't like it is now. I think if I would have had like a better phone, a better camera, maybe I would have recorded myself. But I really didn't think of it then. You know what I mean? It was just something I just did. It was just part of my life. And so, but fitness is a journey. You know what I mean? Like, so you have times where you're super, super dedicated, and you have times when whatever is going on in life, it can kind of get you off track. So I feel like I've kind of had that, throughout my life. I've had times where I've been the best fit in my life, and then I've had times where I was super depressed and going through things. I went through a divorce and all of that. And then I had kids. And so, after my first child, I went through postpartum real bad. It took me a while to lose the weight, but once I did, I was happy again. Then I got another baby, but I knew what to do that time. So I lost the weight really fast. And around the time after I had my second son, that's kind of when I started thinking of, well, you know what? I wonder what other moms, are going through when they have kids. So that's what kind of made me think of Fit Find Peace. It was really a movement. I wanted to just kind of like start just a conversation for moms or women who've had kids, and you're trying to get your spark back. So that's the fine, you know what I mean? And then you want to get fit again, you know what I mean? So, when we start working out, like, girl, you can't get to the gym, no problem. You're gonna do some workouts at home. You know what I mean? So that was my thing. And then it was like, okay, well, and then peace, because a lot of times when you have kids in life, you just want to bring some type of peace to your chaos. So it was like, that part was more for me like spiritual. What are you doing every day? So to me, I'm reading something in my word every day. I'm listening to some type of, message every day from some from a preacher, or you know what I mean? Or I'm doing something, I'm listening to some type of gospel music to bring that spiritual part to myself and bring me center every single day. So for that, I just kind of wanted to just start sharing that with other women, because especially for moms, because I feel like we all kind of get to a place we get stuck like, I don't know how to lose this weight, and I don't got time to lose this weight. Girl, bring them kids with you, okay? And work out. You know what I'm saying? My kids at this point, because I work out with them in front of them all the time, they enjoy working out with me now. You know what I mean? They be like, we gotta go home, we gotta work out. I'm like, okay. Trying to do it by myself, but you know what I mean? But it is what it is. You don't have like, it's about like kind of just eliminating excuses. So I think that was kind of my thing, is like, you don't have no excuse. It's about using your hours in your day the best way you can. Okay, you don't want to work out with your kids, then get up earlier. Okay, we got to go to work. Okay, we got to get up. I was up this morning, 5:30 this morning, working out before my kids woke up. You have to make you have to be disciplined, and you have to make it a part of your life. And I think that sometimes what happens is we kind of just, okay, I got to get this weight off. So you think I'm gonna do it tomorrow by 3 o'clock, but you have to do it every single day. You know what I mean? Like it's discipline. It's like you said, it's the little stuff. You can't do a lot. Do 20 minutes. Do something. You know what I mean? Like get up and just do something. Just get your body moving, and I promise you, you'll start seeing results. Drink your water, okay? Every day. You know what I mean? Put the soda down, eat less. There's a whole lot of things that, you know what I mean, that can go into. So that's kind of what made me come up with Fit Fine Peace, because, I want us to get fit. I want us to get our fineness back. And I want us to, incorporate Jesus and all of that. So that's where it came from.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So in the midst of of all that you guys have done, because what's clear as I'm just listening to you guys talk is that you really prioritize it.
Mhm.
And would you agree that maybe with a lot of people struggle is they just struggle with priority and where to place their health, because a lot of times you want to say, well, I got to do this for the kids, or
Right.
I got to make sure I take care of this for my husband,
Right.
or I got to make sure I take care of this at church. I got to make sure I take care of this at the job. I got to make sure. And so they struggle. So sometimes the struggle could be priority. So how did you guys sort through all of the stuff you have to get your health up to the top of the list? Because I think sometimes people just maybe struggle with finding how to prioritize it with everything else that you can also say is important. So how did you sort your life out to get it to that point?
Well, for me, I would say you have to have your why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? And I think that if that kind of trumps everything else, you don't really have any more excuses. Like, I want to get up because maybe I have a health condition that I need to, start prioritizing. Maybe they told me, I went to the doctor, they told me I might be pre-diabetic. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that may be coming up. You have to know your why. Some people I know, oh, I need to lose weight because I'm trying to have a baby, or I need to lose weight because I'm trying to do this. Like, maybe it's your why. Or some people, for me, I just want to live a healthy life, and I just want to pass that on to my kids. I just want them to see me being healthy and being happy, because for me, my physical health is directly attached to my mental health. So I have to be able to do both all the time so I can be the best mother, the best daughter, the best sister, all of those things. Anytime my physical and I'm not able to work out as much, I feel it. I feel it immediately. You know what I mean? If I'm not eating properly, I feel it. My body be like, girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, where is the greens? Like, where is your stuff at? You know what I mean? Like, you feel it. Once you kind of get to the point, you just have to know your why. You have to know why you want to do it. What is the reason behind wanting to be healthy? And living a healthy life. You said we get one life. How you want to live it?
Yeah.
That's good. Go ahead, Juwan.
That's really dope though, to find your why. Because that's so important. If
Yeah.
I know people deal with motivation, but I tend to stay away from that. But your why is, this is the reason why I'm going to be consistent. I
Yeah.
would say for me, I spent a lot of time. Again, I mentioned that I was pursuing playing football.
Yeah.
That didn't end up panning out, so I took a gap from working out, doing anything physical, because I was like,
Yeah.
I was kind of depressed by that.
Right.
And again, talking about mental health.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after, so I had gained weight, and I'm like, I don't like how I feel anymore. I feel very sluggish when I used to be able to have energy. So my why is, I feel like for the things that God wants to do in my life, He can only bless it to the extent that my body can take it. If
Mm-hmm.
my body can't handle,
That's good.
the many different assignments I have, whether, speaking, singing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, how can He give me that more than I'm praying for if I'm not even
Yeah.
being a good steward over my body? And I
That's
think
a
that's
fact.
just a biblical principle. We hear the verse, I present my body a living sacrifice, holy,
Mm-hmm.
and our bodies are our temple. So for me, it's like, I want to be in the best shape possible. So
Yeah.
regardless of what it is, I'll be able to do it. And in um, my family has been blessed with a very long longevity. That's what I'm trying to say. I just celebrated my grandma's 99th birthday, and
Oh, I love that.
Wow.
she's still very mobile. I mean, we
Wow.
had to chase her down to take pictures because she was like, "I'm ready to sit down, I'm done." But it's just like, even from a lot of my family members just have a lot of longevity, and I'm like, God, I want that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, am I doing what it takes to get that? I want to
Yeah.
have a family one day, and a big thing is just being around so I can see them flourish, and
Yeah.
give them the blueprint that my dad gave me. He instilled
Nice.
that discipline in me, which helped me in a lot of phases of my life where things may have not gone my way, but it's like, I can focus on the things I can control.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of factors that we may not be able to control,
Of
but you
course.
can control how much you're eating. You can
You
control
can.
getting up.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
control just what your focus is set on. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
if you hone in on some things, and it doesn't have to be all at once, but if you just, okay, this week I'm gonna get up at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my little time.
Yeah.
If you make 4 out of those 7 days of the week, that's still progress.
Yeah.
People think, oh, I got to do all 7. If I don't do all 7, I got to pick up next week. That's the biggest. That's the
Yeah.
biggest delay in you going forward. It's like, you just,
True.
yeah. So for me, it's just, I want to be all that God is calling me to be, and I know I have to have my body in shape to do it.
Amen.
All right, man, love it, love it, love it. And again, when you finding your why, I think is important. When you said that, because that goes with so much.
Yeah.
Not just health, that goes with anything that you endeavor to do, that
Anything.
if you don't have a reason why you're doing it, and if that reason isn't strong enough,
Yeah.
like it has to be a why that's gonna make you move.
Yeah.
Because I had a mentor, and he passed away a few months ago. But one of the things he always said to us is he said your why has to move you to a place where you realize that if I don't do this, something not good is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it has to be a why, to where you literally are like, if I don't do this, I know I'm going to regret it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes people move from a sense of loss before they move from a sense of gain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they feel like they're losing on something, or losing out, or missing, they tend to move a little bit differently. But finding a why is good. That was great and consistent. And so with that, I want to get into some of the things that are affecting both men and women in our health. And in terms of today, what are some of the things uh, as men that we should be concerned about? For you, Juwan, and then Raquel, I want you to talk about the things that you feel women should be concerned about when it comes to their health, because we're past COVID, but now we've hit RSV and all this other stuff out here.
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the things that we should be concerned about? And so, either one of you can go first.
I'll let the man lead.
But about that though, I think they should be concerned about the example that they are setting.
Yeah, that's good.
You have to think like, biblically, the man is supposed to be the head of the family.
Yeah.
So for me, thinking about myself, things that that's constantly motivating me is I want to leave a legacy of fitness for my family. I want to give them blueprints, like stuff that I had to learn from other people, or I had to either try it and it worked or didn't. I want to be able to give that, to be like, you're supposed to leave inheritance for your family. And I think, why can't steps to stay healthy longer, why can't that be something that you pass down? I feel like, high blood pressure is a serious thing. Diabetes is a serious thing.
There you go.
And those things can affect you when you're, if you're trying to provide for your family, if you're, working 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
Eating whatever you want, not resting,
Yeah.
not hydrating. Eventually, just like a car, when you keep putting too much pressure on it and not attending to its needs, it's going to break down.
Yeah.
And for a man, again, everybody's situation is different, but for a man, if your focus is to provide for your family, a part of that is you got to make sure that you can physically provide. Because if you sacrifice that by what you're eating, what you're doing, not taking care of your body and making it a priority, that's going to affect your entire family, from the oldest to the youngest. We think that doesn't affect your kids, but as they grow up, if you're not taking these things into account, you might not be there, or they might have to deal with heartache of you not dying from old age, but dying from high blood pressure, diabetes. And that's the thing that, again, we can't control. I've reached the age where I'm passing away. We can't control that. We can control dying early because of just either a lack of information, a lack of effort, whatever the case may be. I feel like we need to take those steps as a man to, okay, even if I don't know, there's somebody out here that has that information. It takes a humble and a wise person to realize, I don't know the information, so let me go out and seek it, from somebody that's willing to give it. And then eventually I'll be able to be the one that can give that, not only to who I train, people I come across, but also my family. So where now that's building, even if it's not monetary, that's building generational wealth. And I think that's more where my mind is with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And so with just a quick follow-up. So when you're training people and you're training men, what are some of the challenges or things that you're seeing? Because I heard you mention that you evaluate the body and what's needed.
Yeah.
So when you're training men, what are some of the things that you kind of see, either most of the time, all of the time, or that's pretty consistent when it comes to men that are the challenges physically?
I would say a lot of men are more concerned with strength training and not as much of what I'm eating. That's not everybody's case.
Sure.
But for me, I try to hone in on, okay, there's room for strength training, yes, but there's also a lot of little things that we need to get together. As far as, and it depends on what they're trying to do. For somebody that is, a little more in shape, I will focus more on that depending on their needs. But, it's just, for one, sometimes it's hard for a man to ask for help. And I feel like my female clients are more inclined to, hey, show me how to do this, or why this, or they're more inquisitive on things to educate them. But I feel like more men, they have a certain way of doing things and may not want to know, okay, hey, I know you did it this way, but let's try this variation. Let's try this because I think this could help you. I feel like well, at least for me, I'm a little different. I've had that time where I feel like I knew it all, but at the same time, going through process, even with my trainer, he enlightened me to things. Okay, I didn't know that you could strengthen this by doing this. I didn't know that by eating these certain things, I would feel better. So I think it's just them asking for help, but also too, even with the diet, we got to learn, well, everybody, we really got to learn how to say no to certain things. You don't have to cut everything cold turkey because that lowers your percentage of sticking with it. Again, not every case. Some people are like determined. When they say I'm not doing it, you're not doing it. But most people, and again, most men, we kind of fall short in that area because it's not so much dieting, but just the things that we eat. A lot of us just not thinking about that. We're just trying to eat to maneuver through life, not thinking I shouldn't eat these particular things.
Right. That's good. So, Rakeal, same question for you. What are some of the things that, based on your own life experience and even those who follow, because you have a lot of followers who follow your FitFinePeace and they take your health tips and your meals and all that kind of stuff. So, what are some of the things today in terms of a woman's health that they should be concerned about, and not concerned as in it's going to hurt them, but just like this should be a thing you should be thinking about. And what are some of those things?
I think while I was sitting here thinking, I said, I think the biggest thing for women, what I'm realizing is because we are just, especially if you're like a mom, like if you're just all over the place, a lot of times we gotta prioritize like rest because we don't get a lot of rest. And I think it's because we don't really some people just don't have a lot of structure. And so for me, I feel like I've always, people come to my house and be like, your kids in the bed. Yes, because I need time to myself. You know what I mean? Like I've always believed in structure because structure for my life, structure for my kids' life, because for one, kids crave that. And for you as a grown person, you would do better if you had a schedule or some type of structure in your life so that you're not always overwhelmed. And so you're not always tired and you're not always, beat down and can't hardly do anything and don't have the energy for anything. I think another thing for us is what I've realized too, as we age, women of a particular age, like myself, what I've learned is that we start having like hormone situations going all over the place, especially if you are entering like perimenopause and you hormonal weight gain, all this different kind of stuff. Like we have to learn that like our bodies are like constantly changing, like it's constant. So sometimes when you think you have a regimen, you might have to redo it. And it's okay. You know what I mean? We have to give ourselves grace. Like, okay, you know what? That used to work for my body. Now my body's in a different place now. I got to do something else. I got to start eating. I can't eat that no more. I got to do this. You know what I'm saying? So I think really just rest, structure, and giving ourselves grace is some of the things that we really have to concentrate on the most right now for us, for women.
Okay, good. And I think that's good. And I think rest is important. I'll be the first to
Yeah.
say, because myself, I struggle with getting rest.
Yeah.
I admit that, and a lot of it has to do with that I overload my life. I think more than I should.
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
people.
a lot of people.
So you end up coming home and you go to bed, and if you didn't eat, your whatever you grab, a lot of times
Mhm.
it might not necessarily, it ain't a salad all the time.
But if you had your meals prepped
That's
and
true.
ready to go, you see
Now
what I'm
you're
saying?
right. Now you're
See what I'm
right.
saying?
I can't argue with you.
I'm
You
just
are
saying.
It's
You
absolutely
can't.
right.
a
When you
man without a plan plans to fail. That meal prep, that's a part
that's
of your
right.
plan.
That's right. So I definitely agree with the rest part, because rest
Yeah,
is indeed important, and it's hard to focus if you're tired.
it's so hard.
Hmm.
It's very difficult to focus. And so when it comes to the whole idea of rest, because again, um, the month of May is National Mental Health Month.
Hmm.
So we're talking, of course, about physical health, but we're also talking about mental health,
Of
because
course.
your
Yeah.
mental health affects your physical health.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that it seems to has jumped on a lot of people, and I'm talking from just my own experience, and from people that I have talked to, people that myself and my wife have talked to and have had to minister to at times. One of the things that I notice is that a lot of people, especially now, are really dealing with depression,
Yeah.
and they're dealing with a lot of anxiety because they're just unsure about what's happening around them.
Yeah.
And when you get to the place of depression, and if you have low self-esteem, we turn to things like food
Yeah.
Yeah.
for comfort. And it's a thing of comfort food,
Hmm.
you know. So we turn to snacks, we turn to cakes, and we turn to candy and all this other stuff, because we're just caught in a funk,
Yeah.
and we know we shouldn't, but it gives us comfort. Which is, it might sound crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
It,
Yes.
it gives us a sense of comfort. It gives almost like a sense of relief. The same reason somebody will drink or smoke
Hmm.
or
Yep.
drugs, because it takes you to a place where, for the moment,
Yeah.
it just
Right.
makes you feel like, okay, it's done. But then once you come resurface, it's still there, and
Right.
it ends up
Yeah.
being
It's
a
the
cycle.
reality. Yeah.
So I want to ask the two of you, um, if you've ever dealt with that in some shape, form, or fashion,
Yeah.
either being in a funk or being
Yeah.
depressed, or having a time where you weren't just in the greatest mental space,
Yes.
and maybe you did eat or whatever you turn to, because everybody has a different vice. So whatever it is, but
Yeah.
how did you come out of that place of depression? So how did you come out? How did you come out of that funk? How did you come out of that low place? Um, whatever that place was, and everybody calls it something different. So how
Yeah.
did you get out? How did you get yourself out so that it ultimately did not do you in?
Yeah.
I,
It's almost
I
kind of like
think
which time.
right, right.
Yeah. So pick a time. I mean,
I
pick
know.
a
It's
time,
like,
and just kind of share. If we have people that are watching or will watch the replay, and they may be in that place right now,
yeah.
and are like, I just don't know how to get out. So
Yeah.
how did you bring yourself mentally out? How did you come out?
I mean,
Whoever
I
wants to
would
go first.
say, I would say that we hear the expression "life be lifing," and that
Mhm.
happens so much. You know, it's been points in my life where it felt like for every step I took forward, it's like 5 steps back, or
Yeah.
something else has to be paid, or something else has to be done. And
Mhm.
I think I found myself in that place where I started to slack up on the things that would help me during that time. And as far as
Mhm.
just having space to just be quiet, getting enough rest, because I'm like, I got to make this amount of money, or
Yeah.
working out because I don't have as much time, because again, I got to make money. Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of factors that apply stress to your life. And when that stress is applied, sometimes that's a thing that kind of burns you off from both ends. You
Yeah.
know, and I'll say it from a man's perspective, you know, when you are trying to handle things and build, you know, there's some complications that come up, and I've definitely experienced that. I think one thing that helped me was being self-aware.
Mhm.
You should know, you should be able to tell when you're off, or
Yeah.
something's going on that's weighing on you. And
Yeah.
I think I'm responding to this naturally and then spiritually. So naturally, if I feel like I'm a little more grumpy, or you know, I'm a little more short tempered and things, you know, I should be able to call my own foul. Like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. Something is, you know, maybe it's not everybody else. Maybe I gotta look back at myself. You know,
Yeah.
in a spiritual sense, you know, when you are, you know, maneuvering through this walk with God, you know, there's going to be things that pop up, and whether
Mhm.
it's depression, anxiety, and you have to be aware enough, sensitive enough to know, okay, I'm feeling anxious. And I
Yeah.
think people are afraid to admit that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
just even saying I'm feeling very anxious can be such
Mhm.
a freeing thing, because what happens is you can feel anxious, but then you kind of bottle that up.
Yeah.
And now that anxiety is coming off in very destructive ways, because you're not giving your body a chance to acknowledge I'm feeling anxious.
Yeah.
You know, what I had to do for myself is, again, I had to acknowledge, okay, I'm not okay right now. There's things that
Mhm.
are stressing me out. There's things that are making me fearful. And
Yeah.
once I acknowledged it, um, accountability is another big one for me. um, when I am feeling this way, or I am going through a lot, having somebody to turn to is such a big key. Again, most people will just keep it on the inside, but if you're able to talk about it, it can kind of help you take the pressure off of it
Yeah.
a little bit. I know the
Yeah.
Bible says, confess your faults to one another, and then it
Yeah.
goes on to say, and then you will be healed. There's some healing that takes place when you're able to first acknowledge and then
Absolutely.
speak on it. And
Yeah.
when I begin to, okay, acknowledge I'm stressed, now I
Yeah.
go to, okay, well, what's making me stressed? What are things that are adding to why I feel this, why I'm off, why I'm depressed? You know, there's
Right.
people that have a clinical diagnosis of depression, but
Mhm.
there's also people that go through a season of depression just based on
Right.
a lot of different factors. It could be
Mhm.
things that you may not have the answers to. Until you get those answers, you need to pursue them. You need to
Yeah.
figure out, okay, what's going on? In a natural sense, okay, let me backtrack. Let's see what is triggering me to feel this way, or what's causing me to feel this way. In the spiritual way, God revealed to me what's going on. Like, why do I feel, you know, what's making me feel low? And once you can identify that, you can start to build a strategy to overcome it, but you have to first acknowledge it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Raquel?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I don't know which story to tell, because I feel like, throughout life you experience probably many episodes of
Yeah.
sadness and depression and, heartbreak and all kind of things. But I guess I'll tell you this. I feel like the times where I was the most, depressed and maybe dealing with maybe heartbreak, those were the times I got the fittest. Like, for real, like when my heart was broken,
You had
baby,
the
you
adverse
couldn't keep me
effect.
out the gym. Like, I was like, nah, I
You
gotta
had
get
the
in.
adverse effect, huh?
Yeah.
Listen. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm going through a divorce. I was running every day. I feel like running really helped change like, I just, listen, I don't know. Fitness probably really saved a lot of my times from being depressed, or, just crashing out. That's what people say now. Yeah.
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 It definitely probably stopped me from that. But, and that's just probably, like you said, like the natural side. But, I think also just taking in consideration that, like, I mean, it was times too when I just went to church and just laid on the altar too. You know what I mean? Like, my heart was just broken. I just let my heart break right there. And then sometimes just being able to have a tribe, where people
Yeah.
that of friends or family that you can actually go to and talk to, incorporating a therapist, you know what I mean? Sometimes even that has helped, whatever it is, sometimes you just have to really try to find what's best. But I know for me, the most with when is when the way I got out of a lot of my depression was waking up early, reading my word, sitting there praying, working out, eating good food,
Yes.
and I think that, I also gave myself grace during that time. Like, if I wanted something because I just wanted it, I would just have it, and then I would work it off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I knew how I was feeling. Like, you know what, this gonna make me happy. You're happy for a minute, but then I'm gonna get up and work it off. You know what I mean? It's just that time period, and you go back to being strict, or whatever. However you live your life, it's a lifestyle. For me. So I know I'm a person that kind of eats clean throughout the week, and maybe on the weekend I might have something I want here and there or whatever. So but prayer.
So what would you guys say to somebody that maybe don't have a tribe,
Oof.
and maybe they don't have a person or an outlet, but yet and still they don't want to stay where they are. They don't want to stay in this depressed low state, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has a name for it, whatever you want to call it. So to the person that doesn't have the tribe, to the person that um, might even be afraid of therapy, because for a long time, as you guys know, for a long time, and especially when I was growing up, you could not say therapy and you black. You
Sure
could not
can.
say therapy.
Ain't nothing wrong with you.
You better not utter the words therapy.
Yeah.
You depressed, go
You will
depress them dishes.
immediately be labeled as
Go,
crazy. Something wrong with you.
go
Talking
depress
about
the
therapy,
dishes.
but a lot of that is changed. But a lot of that has changed
Yeah.
over time, and more of us have been embracing this whole idea of therapy. But if you are someone, you don't have a tribe, and maybe you're not sure about therapy, what is something you can say to them to get them to kind of get them at least to move towards getting out of that place?
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's my thing. Like, I don't feel like, and I know a lot of people turn to even medications too sometimes,
Yeah.
and that may not be for everybody. But I feel like if maybe you're afraid, talk to your doctor, talk to your PCP and tell them how you're feeling, and maybe they can find something that works for you.
Mhm.
Especially if you just, you don't want to try any of the other natural things like, talking to people or going outside. I don't get some sun. Sun makes you feel real good too. I don't
It
know.
sure
Like,
does.
it literally lifts the depression right off of you. I promise. Um, I don't know, it's hard to say because everybody handles depression and sadness and everything
Sure.
differently, but antidepressants help people too. I know people that take antidepressants and that helps people too.
Yeah.
Good. Juwan?
I think it's kind of tough. And my
Yeah.
heart goes out to a person that feels like they don't have a tribe or they don't have
Yeah.
somebody that would care enough to listen.
Yeah.
So I would, depending on who I was talking to, I would either tell them, well, you always have the Lord to be able
Mm-hmm.
to talk to. And
Mm-hmm.
that you need what doesn't come up and out of you through words is going to come up and out of you through actions. So if you don't get this out, you're not going to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
So whether it's you talking to God, person one-on-one, laying it out and not being afraid of, I think it's a misconception, even with fitness, that you have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I like what you said when you were talking about giving yourself grace. I feel like
Mhm.
we really need to give ourselves a bit more grace,
Yes.
because for all the bad that we think we do, we're doing a lot of good too.
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
got to, take stock of that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not all bad. I may have ate this way. I may have ate some ice cream
Yeah.
and I may have slacked on a workout. But at the end of the day, the moment that you say, okay, let me get back focused,
Yeah.
you're good. You're back on track. And so I
Yeah.
would say for that person, for one, be honest with God and with your
Yeah.
family and the things that's going on. If you really desire community, which is good, pray, even asking God, God will send somebody in my life who, I can be able to confide in. I can be able to walk this thing out with.
Yeah.
I truly believe we're never meant to do life alone.
No.
There's power in community. There's power in, it says in the Bible, where 2 and 3 are gathered, he's in the midst. So
Yeah.
there has to be some power that's comes with being attached. And I know a lot of people may have been hurt by certain people, and my heart goes out to them as well. People that they expected to be there for them, and they didn't have that. But there's always somebody going through exactly what you're going through that will
Always.
understand completely what you're going through and will hold
Always.
space for you. So I would say, pray, ask God for community, and then when that community comes, you have to be honest with yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Until you are able to really say, okay, I'm struggling in this area. This is causing me not to exercise. I had a client. I'm not going to divulge too much information, but long story short, I started to notice that there were some things that they kept saying to themselves negatively, when it came to how they looked, how they did things,
Mm.
like negative
Yeah.
statements like, oh, I always mess
Yeah.
up, or,
Yeah.
I look like this. And
Yeah.
one day I was like, when are you going to show yourself some kindness?
Mm-hmm.
When are you going to realize that even though you are in this kind of valley season, at the moment where you start to realize God's plan in your life, you're going to come out of this.
Yeah.
You
That's
have to,
true.
but a lot of times, the things that you're saying do a lot in how your fitness journey goes. If you're constantly being negative, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that may be some motivation for you at a point, but it's not going to get you really where you need to go.
Yeah.
You have to
We
be able
do.
to celebrate the little milestones.
Yeah. You do have to speak kind to yourself too. You do. You have
Yeah,
to be kind to yourself and speak kind to yourself, because the thing about it, if you keep, like you said, you keep speaking negative, that's gonna really get in your spirit, and you're really gonna think
right,
that. Like, I'm not
right,
gonna go work out because I really don't know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna
right.
eat right because it ain't gonna do nothing anyway. And it's not, because you saying it. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you're putting it out there. If you want good things to happen to you, you have to put it out there. Say it. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's one thing too that has always helped me. Affirmations too.
Yes.
Speaking back good to myself. Forgot about that. You know what I mean? That's definitely a part of my day every day. You know what I mean? I speak positive to myself every single. Yes, you are enough. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are worth it. You know what I mean? Putting yourself first is, you are worth being, you are worth taking care of your body, so you have to speak good things to yourself, for sure. Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
good. And I was gonna, and you guys actually went where I was getting ready to go, because I was gonna have you guys talk about the power of affirmations
Mm-hmm.
and what you say to yourself
Mm-hmm.
and the conversation that you have with yourself. I once heard a speaker say one time, I was at a convention listening, and he said the most powerful conversation you're going to have with yourself, the most powerful conversation you're going to have every day is a conversation you have with yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And when he said it, I just sat there thinking, and I was thinking like, okay. And as he kept talking about it, and I said, okay, I guess that kind of is a powerful uh, conversation. And then I heard a pastor say, when you get up every day, you got to order your day.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
to order your day what you want.
Yeah.
So if you got, and I know you shared a couple, Raquel, but I want you guys, what are some affirmations that you can throw at people that they can just say to themselves every day?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
wake up
in the
every
mirror.
morning and tell myself, "You're gonna have a good day." I even say
Yeah.
it when I get to work to other people, when they start speaking negative, like, it's gonna be a good day.
It's
We're gonna
gonna be
have
a
a
good
great
day.
day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because I'm
yeah,
setting the atmosphere for my day. Yeah, it may have been a long day, but it wasn't a bad day. You know what I mean? It was a
Yeah.
good day. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah, those are some things I set the tone for my day every single day by letting my, telling the universe, and asking God to, pour into me, like, God, help me to, be positive, help me to see the, things in a good way every single day. But yeah, one of the things I definitely tell myself, like, one thing recently I started telling myself, like, girl, you're that girl. Act
Come
like
on.
you're that girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
one, normally I'm always like, you're worthy, you're enough. But this past week I was like, you're that girl. And know
Come
that you're
on.
that girl. You could do whatever it is that you put your mind to because you're that girl. And now I'm able to get myself up and get going because I'm that girl. Okay. I can work
Period.
out. I'm that girl. Okay. So
That's
yeah.
good. I like that.
Yeah.
Juwan, what are some of the things you say to yourself?
I would say, a couple things. I'll be like, we're gonna make it through the day. If I
Mhm.
wake up feeling like it kind of tired, we're gonna make it through the day.
Yeah.
Or if the definitely the you're enough is one that comes up because there's a lot of times where it's just I don't feel like my good
Yeah.
is amounting to anything if I'm
Mhm.
honest. But
Mhm.
you are enough
You
and
are enough.
your words matter.
Yeah.
And um I think just one thing that really gets me through is that God loves you.
Yeah. Yes, he
You know,
does.
I think that's a major motivator for me. Like, okay, even if I'm feeling like, you know, I'm not loved, even though again, I know I'm loved, but there's times where you
Mhm.
feel, those
It's
words
true.
coming in
Yeah.
that you're not loved.
Yeah. But you
You
are
gotta,
loved.
and then one
Yeah.
thing too, you got to be able to again, self-awareness is a big thing, but if there's things going on that you feel like are making you depressed, I feel like you have to speak against those things and you have to
Absolutely.
speak to them. And I
Yeah.
would say to
Mhm.
take it a step further, don't just use your words.
Mm-hmm.
If you experience fear, one
Mhm.
affirmation, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but power, love,
That's
and a
right.
sound mind.
That's
If
right.
you're experiencing anxiety, be anxious for nothing, but in all things by prayer and supplication, make your requests known.
Right.
Like these things, there's a physiological response that is fear,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also the spirit of fear. And I
Yeah.
think we gotta know what's in operation. If I'm
Yeah.
about to get hit by a car, that's gonna bring a physiological response of fear.
Yeah.
But if I'm about to make a big life decision and I'm feeling like I can't do it, you have to acknowledge, okay, I got to speak to that because
Yeah.
until I speak to it, it's going to just hang over my head. And
Yeah.
that's why I say it's power in acknowledging things.
Yeah.
If you can acknowledge, hey, I'm feeling a little depressed, people are afraid to say that. And it's like, don't be afraid to say that. That's
Don't be
not
afraid.
such a negative thing. I'm feeling depressed.
Yeah.
It's just acknowledging the state that you are in.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
you acknowledge it, okay, there's steps to like what you said, go outside and get some sun or
Mm-hmm.
go for a
Mm-hmm.
run. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Even if I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling like this, I'm going to crush my goals today. I'm going
Yeah.
to stay committed. You're
Yeah.
going to fulfill everything that you set out to do.
Right.
Like that's such a big motivator. You have, and like what you were saying, that the most important or profound conversation will be to yourself.
Yeah.
Long before somebody else can defeat you, you can defeat yourself.
Absolutely. From
You
the
know,
moment you open your eyes.
and
Right.
then you can even echo. I think one thing that I think the enemy is clever in is he'll speak a word and then back up.
Mm.
Because then you're going to continue to perpetuate that and echo
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The I'm not enough. Then you're
Mm.
going to start seeing everything from that lens of I'm not enough.
Yeah.
So when
Mm.
things don't work out for you,
Yeah.
you don't realize that you spoke that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power of life and death lies in the tongue. So
It
if
sure
you're not
does.
realizing the things that you're saying, again, somebody could have said that, but
Yeah.
now they said it once, you done repeated it for weeks, months, and years. So
Mm.
now this is not just words, this is an ideology that you have
That's
that
right.
I am
Yeah.
not enough.
Right. That
Mm.
you're living by now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that was good. Go ahead, Rick. I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say because I was thinking of some other ones that when he was talking, and I was thinking of another one I use daily is I have all the tools I need to be successful.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I feel like people think, well, I can't do this because I got to do this. I can't do this because I need this. God has already given you everything that you need to be successful. You just have to tap in and realize what you have and show gratitude for everything that he's already given you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And move forward. Like, no, I don't need to go buy nothing else. I got everything that I need right here. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I'm good right here. God, I don't know. I can't get to the gym. I ain't got no money for no gym membership. Jesus, thank you, God, for a TV. I could work out right here at home. You know what I mean? You have all the tools that you need. Okay, you ain't got no dumbbells. Go use some cans. Okay,
Come
you
on.
got everything that you need to be
You better
successful.
use them
Everything.
cans.
Okay, use that biscuit that
That's good.
you
That's
about to
good.
fry. Use
Yeah.
them
Good.
biscuits.
That
I'm
is
just
really
you
good.
have all that
Yeah,
you need to be successful. And I
yeah,
remember another quote from I think it was Will Smith, and he said the best things in life are on the other side of fear. So it's like if you
Mm,
can just push
that's good.
yourself through and realize that, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? Because at the end of the day, we want God to be able to bless us. Where we're praying every day for this and this and everything. I want to be in a space to receive it, God, when it comes to me. So it's like, you know what, God, if I'm fearful and I'm scared, I have nothing to fear. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but a power of love and a sound mind. Help me, God,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
push through.
yeah.
Help me, God, guide me, God. Give me the tools that I need because I have everything that I need to be successful. In Jesus'
Yeah.
name.
Come
That's
on,
good.
prayer.
And I like the way, and I also like how when you guys were speaking your affirmations that you were speaking the word,
Yeah,
because the word of God is life. The word of God is power.
yeah,
And everything in it that it declares we
yeah.
are. And
Yes,
we
we are.
just
Right.
have to continue to repeat it
Yeah,
and rehearse it and repeat it and rehearse it,
yeah,
because the believing a lie works the same way I believe is believing the truth. If
mm-hmm.
Mm,
you continue to speak the lie, it becomes the truth
It is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you made yourself believe it. In the
yeah,
same token, if you keep speaking truth to yourself, you're going to believe it and it's going to become truth. And a
yeah,
lie can become truth also because you keep saying it. And
yeah,
Yeah.
if you keep saying it, eventually your mind's going to believe it that this has to be true because I keep saying it.
yeah.
Right.
Because you
So,
got to know who
so
you
I
are
have to
and
look
whose
at,
you are. You got to know
yeah,
Yeah.
who you
that's right.
belong to. At the
That's
end of the
right.
day,
That's
we
right.
are part of a royal priesthood. You got to know who you are and whose you are every
Yeah,
single
yeah,
day. Yeah.
yeah.
Speak
That's
positive
good.
to yourself. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Love
'Cause
yourself.
that affects your health journey.
It
I mean,
does.
I've seen it. People, you
Mm-hmm.
literally speak in negative, and then you come in with that. So every
Mm-hmm.
exercise you're doing is reflecting that.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you eat is reflecting that. The way that you
Mm-hmm.
treat your body is reflecting that.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
you if you know if you don't really feel like you're enough, why would you take the extra steps
Right.
to be better? You're not,
Right.
because oh,
Right.
I'm not enough. You're accepting that, and
You're
now
accepting
again,
it. Yeah.
you want to get fit, but at the same time, you're stopping yourself from
You're
getting fit.
stopping yourself. Yeah.
Mm,
And again, this it's not a standard of perfection. It's just the pursuit,
Yeah.
not perfection, but progression. Like
Yeah.
I'm working towards my goal. Even if you are out of shape right now, I tell anybody, you know, you got to look at you now, because you got to
Mm-hmm.
love you now more than the view that you're imagining in your head. Because
Yeah.
until you begin to love yourself and love on yourself, even when your journey of that, and again, going to back to my business, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. That's where
Yes.
you really get and learn all the tools that you need to sustain you. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are so in a rush to get to that place. Oh, I'm in
Yeah.
shape, I'm fit. And it's like it's not like a mountaintop
It's
thing. It's
not.
a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
mm.
And I think
lifestyle.
because you could get in shape, and then once you hit that goal, now what? What you got?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because people do it all the time. Oh, I'm just gonna get in shape for my wedding, and then after the wedding, they just go
Right.
back to looking. It's like, but when you make it a part of your lifestyle, because like you said, it's not. I'm not running it's a marathon. Like I'm not sprinting. Like this is something
Right.
that I'm dedicated to every day of my life. I'm making a conscious decision every single day, being intentional about what I do, what I eat, what I say, where I go. All these things matter every single day. And there, and like you said, it's not perfection, but it's just being conscious. It's just being aware of yourself and what you want for yourself and where you're trying to go and what you want. What is your why every
Right.
single day? What is
yeah.
your why?
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Everything that you said, and I hopefully everyone who has been listening will take some of these affirmations and work them
Please
into your day.
work
Take
them
them,
into your day.
take them and use them. And,
Yeah.
and at the start of your day, in the middle of the day, at the end of the day, say them as many times as you need to say them for you to
That's
begin
right.
to believe it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Many
Very
Yeah.
true.
times you need to for you to believe it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the eating, so I want to get to the eating portion because
Okay.
um, some of us we like cake,
Listen.
we like pies,
Sweet potato pie. I make a good one too. You know what I'm saying? So I
Man,
okay? We like snacks,
dude.
okay?
no, you don't need on them snacks. Put your hands down.
We
Duh.
like stuff, right? So what are some of what are some of the foods that are good to eat? Some of the foods we should stay away from,
Yeah.
um, and then also because Raquel, I know you do this. I'm not sure if you do, Juwan, but you can speak on it. But then with the foods that we eat and what we should and shouldn't have and all that stuff and what's good and what's not good. And we don't have to go deep into it, but just give a few, some basic things that we just should know. But
Yeah.
then also talk about the whole idea of meal prep because a lot of people it seems like they're starting to get into it. But I
Mhm.
know you've been doing it, Raquel, for a while. So
I
you've been
have.
doing it for
Yeah.
a while. This
Yeah.
whole food prep thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Years.
so I
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit about that as it relates to our physical health as we start to wind down here. So whoever
Yeah.
wants to go first again.
Yeah. Um, I mean, for me, um, I guess it depends on my mood for the most part, but for the
Hmm.
most part, I'm definitely a person that have always tried to stick with protein, vegetables, healthy carbs, that kind of thing. So that's something that I would do. So I would say like a maybe like a typical meal prep for me. And here's the thing too, I feel like a lot of people feel like if you meal prep, you got to eat like nasty food or, things that are not good. I think you just have to find a way to make the food, that's good for you just taste good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with I know I love looking up healthy recipes and trying different
that's a
things.
big
And
one.
yeah, I love that, finding a different way to eat, eggs, you know what I'm saying? Or finding a different way to eat, chicken, or finding a different way to eat, my spinach and all of that. I enjoy doing that because
Hmm.
I want to
Hmm.
be able to eat healthy and I want to be able to put the foods in my body that I need. So I think it's just about, being open minded to different things. But, if I feel like if you're a person that's just kind of starting out, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, okay, let me cut up some sweet potatoes. Let me do like a chicken breast and maybe like some broccoli or something like that. If that's what you like. I know a lot of people will
Yeah,
be, I don't eat broccoli. I don't eat, okay, well, you know what?
there's one that you can eat.
Right. Do some cauliflower then. I don't eat cauliflower. Do some green beans. Like Jesus, eat some vegetables, please.
Right.
Please put some vegetables in your diet in Jesus' name. um, I think especially like when you're like in your fitness journey, I know we're not supposed to do a whole lot of fruit and everything, but I'm a fruit girl. I like fruit.
Yeah,
Because for me it helps me, especially with drinking my water and eating my fruit. I don't eat a whole lot of like sugar. I'm not a sugar girl. So I'm not really, I don't crave cakes like that. I don't really crave cookies and stuff like that because
I don't know what
my
that's
grapes and
like.
stuff really help me. You know what I mean? But every once in a while, like, oh, I'll have a piece of this or have a piece of cake. But I think if you are drinking a lot of water and stuff too, I feel like that always helps. I try to get down a gallon a day, for myself, because I also think it helps like with keeping my stomach flat. That's why I'm telling other women too, because they be like, well, how do you keep your stomach flat? Do you want to drink a gallon of water a day? People don't want to drink no water. I don't know how to help you. You know what I'm saying? You got to drink water. I don't know what else to say. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you got to eat right. You know what I mean? Because abs are made in the kitchen. You got to eat. You got to eat right.
Absolutely.
So so that's kind of like one basic, but yeah, trying to maybe stick to like healthy carbs, protein all the time, and vegetables. I feel like that is a good starter for people who just want to start meal prepping.
Okay. Do you guys juice
I
at
do
all?
I
juice.
have. I don't do it
Yeah.
consistently, but I have.
Okay.
I
Okay.
wish I could even go show y'all right now. I just made some juice last night too. Like I actually have started juicing and I actually love it. I started it like last year and I actually love it now. I feel like it helps me. I drink one in the morning when I work after I work out and everything. So it helps me.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because my wife is like she's like the juice queen over.
Oh. Do
Um,
you drink it?
I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
She's like, okay, this is for your immune system, and
Uh-huh.
just for this, she said you
Yeah.
drink a shot of this every day. Take one
Yeah.
shot of this every day,
That's right.
and she's like really into this juicing thing. Like she's
Good.
on full force. Okay,
Good.
we done bought
Good.
juicers. That's how bad we done bought two juicers in a
Oh,
year.
too.
Oh, so
I,
y'all really doing it.
Well, she's doing it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
She's really,
Yeah.
really
I
good.
enjoy it. I just feel like you gotta buy so much stuff just to
That's
get
true.
like
Yeah,
a little bit of juice. So
yeah.
that's my only thing. But I enjoy it. I found a couple recipes that I really like and
Mhm.
I kind of do it weekly now. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Juwan, what you
I
got?
would say she covered a lot of it, but I would say another start is maybe a little less processed food. And I only say
Mhm.
less processed because in order to preserve a lot of that stuff, there's a lot of salt.
Yeah.
And that's a big, if you're trying to
Yeah.
get your blood pressure, your heart rate down, stuff like
Yeah.
that. You know, I used to think, okay, if I get some soup, if I order some soup, why am I? That ain't that bad.
All
There's
that
so
sodium.
much sodium.
Right.
If you make it like if you make it at home, you
Yeah.
can be able
Yeah.
to manage it better.
Yeah, it's true.
But just
That's
like a
true.
can or while you're out at a
Right.
restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, typically for a person that has high blood pressure, they want to
Yeah.
stick to under 1500 of sodium.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of soup almost completes that for the day. Just a can of soup.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say for a person again that's trying to do better, there's a lot of low sodium options. There's a lot
Mhm.
of light options. I use, instead of regular butter, I use smart butter. Like
Yeah.
just making even little things like that, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
start to help.
Oh, olive
I,
oil.
Olive oil, yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
tell air fried stuff. If you
Yes.
have that itch for that fried, instead of doing it in the grease, like
Yeah.
try to like make little changes. You don't gotta. I'm never eating chicken. I'm never eating meat. Like people have done that,
That's
but
crazy. You don't got to
yeah,
do all that.
you ain't got to do all that. You just start to change your methods on how you prepare it. Like
That's
instead
right.
of frying
Yeah.
chicken, bake chicken.
There you go.
Instead of frying fish, put it in the oven. Like
There you go.
put it in the air fryer.
There
You
you
can
go.
still, and just watch your seasoning. I think that's what people. And then I would say for the salad people that are like, oh, I'm going to eat a salad. My only thing with salads are there'll be a lot of healthy items, but then when you start to add the bacon, everything else, the fried chicken, you start adding all that stuff, and then on top of that, you add all of the ranch, the calories from the ranch. I mean, a lot of times you're undoing a lot of stuff that you did. And I think when you can put it into perspective of how much you're taking in.
Yeah.
Some people are more strict than others, but I would say
Right.
it does help, even if you don't do it all the time, to start taking a look. Everything I ate today, what exactly am I taking in my body?
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised. For those
Yeah.
who are trying to lose weight, you have to stay under a certain amount of calories.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying you got to nickel and dime the calories, but you should be able to have some idea after even doing it for a little bit. This is going to give me this amount.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. This was a big one for me. It was like 30 minutes on a treadmill, and I burned probably upwards of 300 calories.
Mm-hmm.
I can gain almost all of that back by eating a little bag of chips, like Doritos. You can gain all of that back. So that hard work you was doing, all that sweating,
it's like
eat that bag of chips. It done undid that. I just think, again, not to feel like you have to be perfect, but start to take some steps to actually look at what you're taking in.
Yeah.
Like what she said, the water is important. The time that you eat is important.
Yeah, stop eating.
Yeah, you have to. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you're planning to go to bed, like, what if you're planning to go to bed at 10? I would say at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed, you shouldn't eat, because a lot. And this, I'm gonna break it up into different sections. So first, you're not giving your body a proper chance to digest that stuff and break it down. So a lot of times, like if you just ate now and you went to bed, it's gonna sit on your stomach. So a lot of people, you'll wake up feeling bloated, maybe feeling a little sluggish, because your body, you didn't give it a chance to break it down. Right. Another thing is too, that process of breaking down stuff has to do with how much rest you get as well.
Yeah.
If you're not getting the proper rest, your body's not able to function at its top ability, and so it's not going to break it down how you need it.
Yeah.
And a lot of things stick to your bones more. So that's, you got to just keep that into account. But like what you were saying, the recipes are very important. Trial and error. I think people, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you tried this meal and it was nasty, okay, scratch that. Let's find something else that you'll like. If you don't like broccoli or you don't like asparagus, whatever, there is some vegetable that you'll be able to like. Whether you eat it raw, or you eat it raw, or you bake it or do whatever. You will get the most out of vegetables and things in its most natural state.
Yeah.
However, it's still good to, if you want to bake it, if you want to saute it, you know, in the olive oil, not overdoing with the salt. Like, it's just little things that you can tweak. And again, having grace, you can have a cheat day.
Yeah.
You know, don't go crazy, but
Right.
you know, have a cheat day. Okay, I done worked hard. You know, I'm gonna have this little meal,
Yeah.
but just make it fun. You don't have to be. There's some people that can just go cold turkey, or just I'm only eating this, or I'm only doing this. Try those things, but you don't have to be so locked into it where it's like, if you go back on it, oh, now I done backslid.
Because I think that's what happens though. People go so hard. I see this like all the time. People go so hard, like, hey, I got a trainer and I'm about to eat like this, I'm about to eat like this, and then just stop. Because
Yeah.
it's too much too fast. You have to
Yes.
ease your way into the lifestyle. You don't have to be perfect right away. But like you said, once you start making little steps every single day, you will see progress. You just
Yeah.
have to stay consistent every single day and
Right.
continue to do things. And one thing I think, if people actually track their food, like that Fitness
Absolutely.
Pal, my Fitness Pal, if you actually track in there what you're actually eating and look at it, you'll be amazed just how much you probably thought, oh, well, eating that quesadilla ain't really do nothing. Lies you tell. Did you see how
Listen, the
much it was on
lies.
that food? You know what I'm saying? For real, like if you start actually really tracking the food that you eat, you'll get to visually see, okay, you know what? I don't have room for chips today. I don't have room for a cookie because I've already maxed out my calories for today. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't have room for that stuff because, and I feel like those type of things actually help you learn how to eat, because you can see like, oh, okay, well, if I ate an apple, that's not gonna do that much to me. You know what I mean? Like, or if I ate, I got me some celery or whatever. You know what I mean? Something else, that's not gonna do that much to me. But maybe it will help me feel better and maybe make me feel a little full and take away that I gotta have a snack
Right.
moment. You know,
So I want to just put up one of our listeners had a question, so I want to put it up and pose it to you. And it says, "What are some vegetables that doesn't have a lot of vitamin K in it?"
I have to Google that one, girl.
So I think we got to go back to the part in the beginning where we are not professionals. I would, if a client asked me that question though, I would search it, but I would say you should probably discuss this with a dietitian, because if I'm not experiencing it myself or have looked for that, I'm not going to try to act like I know it. But from what I look up, um, cucumbers, bell peppers, cauliflower, tomatoes, zucchini, mushrooms, onions, celery, and eggplant.
Okay. Good. Okay.
But yeah, that's
Those
I think it's
don't have a lot of K. Don't have a lot of vitamin K in them.
yeah.
Okay.
And so I guess that's it's saying it's important for people on blood thinners, to a lot of that's found in the vegetables. So
All right.
learn something. I learned something new. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Me too.
So
I
far,
mean, but that's the thing, and that's why we say everything is different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
everybody's body has
right.
different things going on and different conditions. So you do have to know how to eat for your body.
Yeah.
Right. So this has been really good tonight. This conversation has been great. Everything that you all have shared and poured out tonight from your own experience has been good. And so as we go ahead and get ready to uh, close out, and to our listener, you're so welcome, and hopefully some of that helped you. And then of course, as you can also look online some stuff, but as Juwan said, definitely go ahead and speak with your doctor or even with a dietitian.
Yeah.
That can kind of also give you some even more better guidance too in that area. But as we leave out, we talked about physical health and mental health, and it seems like the biggest part of physical health, from what you all have said tonight, it really does seem like the mental determines
Yeah.
the success
Yeah.
of whatever your physical journey is. But I think your mental state determines the success you're gonna have in life.
Yeah.
Because if your mind is not in the direction of the success you want to have, then it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, it's true.
because you won't be consistent, and you won't prioritize anything.
Yeah.
So I just want to give you all a chance to kind of give the final words here, as it relates to this whole idea of, um, being fit for your destiny,
Yeah.
living life to its maximum. And so I just want you guys to give final words, whatever is on your heart, or whatever's in you to say, concerning that, because so that the folks that have been watching or getting on, those who watch the replay, leave them with something that they can take with them. Because
Yeah.
we always want to leave a message with people they can take with them. And so, so we'll start with Raquel and go to Juwan. Whatever you want to say, concerning
um,
this, so that people can live it.
yeah. I mean, I'll say, like we said earlier, we get one life. And if you are a mother, because that's really like the audience that I, typically like to go to the most, because I am a mom and I get just how hard being a mother is, just how chaotic life can be. Allow yourself to rest at times, gather you a tribe, that can help you even with your kids. Sometimes take a break, whatever you need to do to make sure that you are taking care of yourself mentally, physically. Have some girl time with your friends, get dressed up, be fit, be fine, and be at peace in your mind. But make sure you structure your life so that you can do all the things that God wants you to do, all the things that God is calling you to do. Because we can't be our best selves if we're overwhelmed. We can't be our best selves if we're drained. We can't be our best selves if we're not putting in the work for ourselves every single day. We know that we had time when we was that girl, and maybe you in a period right now where you just feeling like you're not that girl, but you still that girl. You just got to go back and figure out how to be that girl again. And that just starts with just making sure you prioritize yourself and love yourself, because you are enough. You have all the tools that you need to succeed. You are beautiful, you are loved, and God loves you. And that's all I have to say.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Juwan, what's your
Yep.
final word?
My final word is, again, I'm reflecting on, you got to figure out what your why is.
Yeah.
I think there's two groups of people. There's people that know exactly what God wants them to do, and there's people that don't. And I
Yeah.
think regardless of the state that you're in, you have to start to discipline yourself. So as your purpose is revealed, as your destiny is revealed, you'll be able to be in the best shape possible. A lot of
Yeah.
that does start in your mind. So
Yeah.
sometimes your workout got to start in your mental, what you're
It
speaking,
do. Yeah.
what you're consuming, like, and the things that's going in your ear. Like, I know a lot of, podcasts or motivational videos, anything, something positive. But I think more important is just the things that you say to yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Be honest. You have to what you want to see, you got to begin to speak that. And then the
Yeah.
things that, are going on in your life, you have to be honest about it. There's real issues and there's real struggles that cause you to stop. And you're not alone. There's more people that are going through depression than you think. And
Yeah.
if you just begin to acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling depressed at this moment, and God has given me everything that I need to
Yeah.
succeed. I may not
Absolutely.
have this one particular thing,
Right.
again, a factor that I can't control, but
Right.
there's a lot of factors that you can control. The time that you
Yeah.
get up, how
That's right.
how much you're eating, when you
That's
go to
right.
sleep, and
That's
how
right.
you hold yourself accountable.
Amen. Amen.
That's
And
good.
read the word.
And that's a
That's
big mental
a
Read it.
health.
big part.
That's a big part. You
That
you got to
is.
speak life. What
You
does the
gotta
Bible
speak
say?
life.
Power of life and death lies in the tongue. You got to speak life to yourself, because
Yeah.
and in the same moment where your words can kill you, your words can also give you life.
Yes,
And
sir.
his word can definitely give you life.
That's right.
That's right. That's good, man. Listen, that was great. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah, no
Again,
problem.
you all have brought so much value to this conversation tonight, and shared some really powerful things and thoughts on this, because I guess it worked out with it being National Mental Health Day. I guess it
Yeah.
really worked out, because that is the key to everything. So again, I appreciate you all for coming on and sharing today. And so I want to say to our visitors, to our viewers rather, make sure you go and follow
Yes.
these people on social media.
Yeah.
You can follow both Rakeal and Juwan on Facebook and on Instagram,
And TikTok.
And TikTok.
And
See?
YouTube.
and YouTube. Go on every platform and find them, and make sure you follow them for positive content on fitness and health. But they also have some content that'll make you laugh too.
Yeah.
So make sure you go follow them on social media and connect with them in what they're doing and what they are providing, because they are really, really out here doing it big and providing for people stuff that can really help them get to the next level. So I want to thank everybody who's been with us tonight and hanging out with us, and those who have come in and stayed, and some had jumped off and the others jumped on and stayed. So whatever part of the conversation that blessed you, that you can take it away with you and use it in your life so you can live your life to the max, because you only get one.
Amen.
You only get one, and it's only one way to live it to the max. So thank you to everyone who's hanging out with us here on the Locker Room. We appreciate you. We thank you for joining us. We endeavor to inform, to enlighten, and empower. And we will be right back again in the month of June with more powerful conversation with some more great panelists. And so be looking out on your social media for the flyer to come out, so you'll know the day, the time, and who's going to be on and what we'll be talking about. And so with that, you all have a great rest of your week, a great rest of your night. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next time on the Locker Room.
Bye.
Go be great.
Thanks for having me. Good night.